Well, good afternoon and welcome back to Football League World TV, where today we are continuing our Fans Voice series, looking ahead to the 2022-23 campaign for a variety of clubs across the EFL. Today, we are focusing on one of those newly returned to the Championship in Burnley. And joining me, Toby Wilding, today to look ahead to the Claret season is Dan from the Burnley fan channel TurfMoor House. Dan, thanks for joining us. How are you doing today?
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to this. As I said, being back in the Championship, no VAR, it's a breath of fresh air. Should be interesting. But thanks for having me.
Yeah, great to have you with us. And of course, if there are any Burnley fans out there watching who'd like to, send us in your thoughts or any questions, please do get in touch in the comments. We'd really like to hear from you. But for now, let's get started. So we're going to just start by quickly taking a look back to last season. Obviously, Burnley's time in the Premier League coming to an end after that final day defeat to Newcastle, coupled with Leeds win at Brentford to seal the Claret's relegation. Dan, what was it, do you think, that went wrong for Burnley last season?
Too many losses against sides around us, for me. We sort of lost our identity a little bit. It was a strange one. Obviously, the season was strange anyway. Everyone was sort of just coming back from COVID and things like that. So it was a very difficult time with football as it was. Not that that's an excuse. Obviously, there's still 11 players on the pitch that have to perform. And we didn't. And we knew what we were capable of. I mean, you only have to look towards the back end of the campaign. We managed to drag out that 3-2 win over Everton. And from that point onwards, we thought, that's it. We are going to be safe. We beat Norwich. It's pretty much nailed on. But I think the players' mentality after beating Everton was, well, that game's took care. That's sort of happened now. The Norwich game will take care of itself. And, we shouldn't have really been thinking like that. And then we went and obviously lost there. And then a week later, lost our manager. But, we took it to the death. We took it to the death the final day. And I commend the club for that. I commend Alan Pace for what he had to do. It must have been a very tough decision, very ballsy move, you would say, especially, with how highly people around the place were thought of. So, yeah, I mean, there's perks to being back in the Championship and there's not. And I think Alan Pace has said that as well, that, okay, we can sort of regroup. It would have been a lot more difficult with the aging squad that we had, because that were a pet peeve under Dyche, really. Seasoned pros, you can only use that tag for so long before they become veterans, to be honest. And yeah, there just wasn't enough in the legs anymore for me. It needed a bit of rejuvenation, and hopefully we'll see that this season.
Yeah, you mentioned there about rejuvenation, and that's certainly something we'll look to have seen with Burnley in the transfer window. We're coming on to that shortly, but you mentioned there about the departure of the manager. Obviously, Sean Dyche moving on after about 10 years in charge at TurfMoor. For you, was that the right decision to let him go?
Timing-wise, I thought was off. Timing-wise, I thought was a bit weird. I thought after 10 years of service, a manager like that should have got pretty much like Stan Ternent got when he was manager, given till the end of the season, see the job out, and then at least be able to be appreciated by the fans, given a lap of honour, said your goodbyes, final farewell, and that be done with it. It was strange because he'd signed a new 4-year contract midway through the season when we was rock bottom of the division. And then you're, 2 points from safety? And you lose to Norwich, and it's almost like, right, now we need to go drastic and make a change. That it just all didn't mash well in my head. I'm like, what's going on? What's happened? Has there been a bust up behind the scenes? What is it? But according to what Dyche has come out and said, and what Alan Pace has said, is that they just said they're going to take it in a new in a different direction, sort of thing. As I say, if you're going to get rid of him after the Norwich game. Don't leave it till the Friday after, when he's literally about to go and do a team briefing on the following game, which he just went in and obviously had to say his goodbyes. But it's like, I've said to some Burnley fans, I'm glad that it's happened, because I don't think we'd have took it to the final day. But also, I still do think, for sentimental reasons, I think he should have been given it till the end of the season. So it's almost like a head and a heart thing. But what happened. We were resolute. Dyche, I thank him for everything that he did. Owen Coyle turned his back on us, so he went from up there to down there. Obviously, you'll understand Owen Coyle, but yeah, Sean Dyche was a completely different man. Probably the last of a dying breed of managers that sort of come into the club and say to the chairman, I want that doing, that needs improving, that needs work on. You don't get that with managers these days. They're just quick enough to go in, sign a player, do the job. So massive thanks to Sean Dyche for everything he did, and the backroom staff as well behind him there. We've lost some key members in that as well. Billy Mercer, the goalkeeping coach, turned Tom Heaton, a keeper that was twice relegated, into an England international. Nick Pope was relegated with Charlton, England international. So he'll be a big miss. But Ian Warren, Tony Laughlin, all that backroom staff will be sadly missed. And obviously now we're setting ourselves up for a new era and a new generation of football at TurfMoor.
Yeah, I don't think there was anyone who wasn't actually caught by surprise when that news came out of Dyche's departure. Wayne is a Fulham fan. He's got in touch. He says he thinks Burnley are going to find it tough in the Championship, but will be there or thereabouts. And that is, of course, under the management of Vincent Kompany, who's sort of come in over the course of the summer. Obviously, it's very early days still, but what have your first impressions been of him?
It was another strange sort of appointment, because we was thinking Kompany would only come if we stayed in the division. Obviously that didn't happen, and then it still came out that he wanted to join us. He had opportunities to go elsewhere. I think Wolfsburg or Werder Bremen, something like that. There were lots of clubs circling for him, and he said, "No, I've already said I believe in the vision that Burnley have put in front of me, and I want to help nurture the club in a different direction." So I was happy when it happened. I just, as Wayne said there, it is going to be a season of adaptation. There's going to be so much change. As I say, it's not just the case that Dyche has gone and we went so long without an actual full-time manager. Obviously, Mark Jackson stepped in interim. But we are going through a completely different phase and transition. New tactics, a different style of football, a new way of thinking, a new ethos around the club. There's been so much change in so little time. Some of the fans don't like it. Some of the fans would rather us go back to pumping it long and playing head tennis. But I'm looking forward to some nice attacking football. And if they want to call us Man City B, be my guest.
Yeah, and as you say, they're a sort of new era for Burnley, and that certainly includes the playing squad with a very busy transfer window, which is what we're going to focus on now. And we'll start that with a look at the business that's been done in between the posts. Obviously, Nick Pope has moved on. He's back in the Premier League with Newcastle United. And coming in at TurfMoor has been Aro Muric, one of the Manchester City recruits. First off, do you think the Pope departure was inevitable? And then also, do you have the confidence in Muric as a replacement for him?
It's how do I word it? The Pope one still hurts. I understand why Newcastle, a club on the up, forward thinking, trying to build, probably will be, get his chance in the England setup at some point. I just think, from hearing outside noise regarding Muric, people are saying get yourself another keeper, which for me doesn't sound great. I mean, Forest fans said that he didn't have the best time there, which is fair enough. I get that, but he was still obviously only young. He's still learning. He's still obviously maybe getting some regular first team football is going to help him and nurture him. But we will see. Man City must rate him highly because in the deal they've said we want a buyback clause, and we also want first dibs if anybody comes in for him. So they must rate him highly and think that he has the potential to become a top quality goalkeeper. Obviously, he was never going to make it in over Ederson. We all knew that. So I'm happy for that. It's a good addition. I think the value was around 3 million, so it's not really brought the bank pocket money in today's society of football. And yeah, Nick Pope, what can I say? Just go and smash it in the Prem. You deserve your chance, and I'm sure a few clarets will be watching over the shoulders to keep an eye on his stature and where he gets to.
Yeah, certainly a goalkeeper with plenty of promise, and potentially our own Muric will be the same. Another area that's seen a lot of change at Burnley over the course of the summer is at centre-back. Three big names moving on in that position: Ben Mee and James Tarkowski, two long-serving players at TurfMoor, and then also Nathan Collins after just a season at the club. They're all back in the Premier League with a variety of teams coming in. I've been CJ Egan-Riley on a permanent and Taylor Harwood-Bellis on loan from Manchester City, and then Luke McNally coming in from Oxford. He's also a permanent. In terms of that sort of turnover in that position, are you confident in those that have come in being able to fill those big shoes that have been left?
There was one pre-season friendly that fans could attend, and that was at Shrewsbury, which we played really well in that. CJ Egan-Riley really did impress me. I thought he was brilliant, to be honest. We didn't get to see much of Harwood-Bellis. I think he had a bit of a knock. And McNally came on second half with not much to do, but he looks like one potentially for the future. I think he'll get game time, but I think it's going to be massive changes that fans aren't going to expect. Fans are going to think, oh, it's going to be the same sort of stuff. We're going to be hard to beat, tough at the back. And we might be that. But these new signings are going to still need bedding in time. All new signings need a period of bedding in. You only have to look at January transfers. Sometimes they don't even work until they've had a pre-season under their belt. And you think, oh, get rid of him sort of thing. But when you've had such big players like Ben Mee and James Tarkowski at the back, it's hard to replace that. It's really hard to replace that. So you think, right, are these players too young to step up to the plate? Or is that their sort of notion to go, right, you've got to there's a hat and I need you to be on it every match day. If that is the case, then we'll see what happens. But I'm happy. Luke McNally in last season's EFL Team of the Year for League One. And obviously Harwood-Bellis had a stint with Kompany at Anderlecht before, obviously, second half of the season at Stoke. But I'm looking forward to it. I think we need another one. I think we need another centre-back in. As much as it seems that's all we've been signing in the window, we need somebody in as well, because obviously losing Nathan Collins was massive.
Yeah, he was one who could have really been a big player for the years to come. Obviously, a lot younger than the other two who have departed there, so potentially a bit more of a future prospect there, gone early for Burnley. Obviously, we've sort of mentioned there about Muric, Egan-Riley and Harwood-Bellis, all of course coming from companies all club Manchester City. How pleased are you to sort of see him using those connections here?
I think that's one of the main things that we sort of looked at as well. When we were linked with managers, we kept being linked with Rooney as well. And I thought, to be honest, I'll hold my hand up now. I said I'd rather have Rooney over Kompany, just because of the fact that Rooney's already sort of had a stint in English football. So we'll sort of understand it a little bit more. At the time, obviously, he thought that the takeover was going to happen and his job will be fine and everything else. But I just think that the City connections with Kompany is great. And I'm glad that he's picked up that phone, got in touch with Pep and said, listen, I want some of those youth players. If anything, it'll help Manchester City. We've done all right. We've done some decent work with City before. Ben Mee came through their youth system, Kieran Trippier. So we've sort of had a good connection with Manchester City and Manchester City players. So I'm looking forward to hopefully another few successful youngsters coming through. Who knows? Finishing the Premier League and promotion to the Premier League, and hopefully Taylor Harwood-Bellis could become a permanent. You never know.
Yeah, I can't say I'm not slightly jealous about that one, but there you go. And of course, it's not just the Manchester City connections that we've seen Kompany sort of exploit this summer already. There's also been those moves for players he knows from his time at Belgium. Obviously, already this morning we've seen confirmation of the right back Coutinho from Cercle Bruges, Samuel Bastien come in as well in midfield, as has Josh Cullen, who of course Kompany managed himself at Anderlecht. Do you think that's sort of the right move for him to be pursuing those players that he knows from his past managerial role?
Yeah, I just hope that they're up to the challenge of the Championship. We know how much the league's adapted. The Championship is one of the toughest leagues to get out of. I mean, go back 2 seasons, you look at Barnsley knocking about in the playoffs. Last season relegated. It just goes to show how harsh and how unpredictable this league is. So all these players need to sort of be on the ball week in, week out. The likes of Josh Cullen, I'm looking forward to seeing, because I think we needed a bit more reassurance in a sort of CDM role. Samuel Bastian looked quality from what I've seen so far. He's got a bit of a wand in him, so I'm looking forward to seeing some magic there. And obviously we'll see what happens with Coutinho, because obviously he's only 21, so he's still quite young. Does that mean that we're going to lose someone like Matt Lawton or Connor Roberts? Who knows? Hope not, because to me at 21 it just seems like he's going to just be sort of taken under the wing and sort of brought into it slowly. But we'll see. I've heard West Brom are sniffing at Matt Lawton at the moment, and at 33, maybe time to move him on just as much as it was Phil Bardsley.
Yeah, certainly would maybe time with the turnover that we've seen there. One of the players who I'd like to get your thoughts on in terms of incoming is Scott Twine. That looks like a really eye-catching signing. There's certainly plenty of Championship links with the midfielder after how good he was for MK Dons in League One last season. How exciting a signing is that for you? And do you have that confidence that he will be able to cut it in the Championship?
I think he will. I think he's got everything with him to do that. You don't become a top of the assists, top goal scorer for your team without being absolute quality. Again, only young, 4 million, an absolute steal. Personally, I thought that he'd probably go to Hull, because obviously Hull at the moment, another team in transition, that they've just been bought out, lots of money to spend. So I thought he'd probably end up there, but they've got Fulham's cast off in Serie. We've managed to sign Twine instead, and hopefully it'll work out. I think it'll be great. It's just I'm not used to seeing somebody so posh and well spoken at Burnley. It's sort of, you're so used to that northern grit, aren't you? That when somebody comes along that sounds like Francis Bourgois trying to talk about trains, this guy comes in and you're almost like, right, okay, this is a bit strange. But as long as his football does the talking, I suppose that's the main thing.
Yeah, definitely one to keep an eye on. Obviously, one of the signings we've seen at Burnley already confirmed this summer is Ian Maatsen, the left back who's coming on loan from Chelsea. So we've sort of taken all that business into consideration. Are there any more sort of positions that you'd particularly like to see Burnley strengthening before the window closes?
Pacey striker, and a pacey striker. We've been asking for one of those for 3 or 4 years now, since the departure of Andre Gray, to be honest. We've always sort of gone forward and had the likes of Sam Vokes, a big man up top, with a little man just sort of, with a bit of a nippy pace, getting in behind the last defender. We had it with Danny Ings, we've had it with Charlie Austin, we've had it with Andre Gray. So we need somebody in that sort of similar mould, although also need them to be scoring goals like those former 3 as well. So it's going to be hard, because apparently everybody's in the window for a striker this time around, and we all know how hard this window can be, because with the World Cup in the winter, people want moves, players want out. It's going to be a very strange window. But yeah, another striker, obviously wingers, or wingers that are capable of playing more central attacking as well, would be capable, because I think we're going to change up the formation as well. I think we're going to drop that Mark Bassett 4-4-2 and go for something like a 4-2-2-2, which should be interesting. I think that's what Kompany played at Anderlecht, and obviously the 2 cams sort of spread out wide and can come in and help out when needed. So losing, as you say, potentially, McNeil looks like he's off. Corney, we don't know what's going to happen there. So yeah, wingers / cam / pacey striker, and probably another defender.
Yeah, and as you say there, that's the incomings covered. We do have to turn our attention to the outgoings, I'm afraid, and in particular those 2, Dwight McNeil and Maxwell Corney. Do you see from here with the sort of links that have really started to emerge over the past couple of days, is there any chance they stay at Turf Moor beyond the end of this window?
No, not for me. And I think Kompany said it when he said that the fans need to prepare themselves for life after Corney. I mean, when a manager says that, that just tells you that basically everything, that we've seen a lot, and we know the qualities that the man's got. He will go on to play some, I mean, Chelsea were linked not so long back. Chelsea wanted him. Whether they come sniffing, I don't know. But at the moment, it's heading more towards the claret and blue of London and West Ham that look interesting for him. So we still get to see him in claret, I suppose, if he does go there. So there's always a bonus. But losing McNeil for me, that I thought he could have become a very good, influential player under Kompany. The fact that he was screaming out under Dyche, I need to be playing more attacking. My game's being nullified on the wing. I want to be a number 10 behind the striker, being able to have sort of like a free role in there. And when he did play that against Palace last season, he looked brilliant. He looked absolutely brilliant. He wasn't out of place. I thought, wow, is this like the rebirth of McNeil? But I don't understand why he's. Same with Tarkowski. I don't know why McNeil and Tarkowski have gone to Everton. I think they deserve better. Personally, I think with where Everton were last season, I know teams build, they're still in the Prem. I get that. But two players, Tarky wants obviously to play for England. He didn't think he were going to get that at Burnley because we get overlooked. Everton for me is a bit of a weird one. I thought especially when the links to West Ham, Newcastle, Leicester were sniffing. But McNeil, I think, deserves better as well. I thought McNeil, another season in the Championship would have been pivotal. But obviously, it looks like that's not the case. And the Toffees are going to get their man.
Yeah, as you say there, it's looking at unlikely to the extreme that they will be having this season in the Championship with Burnley. So how big a loss are those two going to be? If those
Massive. As I said to you before we started, the window goes from an 8 out of 10 to a 2 out of 10. You've lost your two creative attacking players, really. And who do you bring in to sort of nullify that? Not nullify that, but to obviously gain that back again. Obviously, we looked at Callum O'Hare from Coventry. Sorry, Coventry fans, for mentioning him. Don't shoot me. I know what you like. You're very touchy on the subject. But I think the money will be there for him. And if he wants to come, he'll come. I don't know. I'm sure Kompany's got an astute list of names we've probably never heard of that's going to come to the turf, and we're going to think of wonder kids. Turns out, they might be dross, they might be fantastic, but we will see. We will see. But we do need some creative attacking flair. Losing both them players would make this window, for me, seem like a bad one, no matter how many came through the door.
Yeah, and that is the business off the pitch in terms of transfers covered. Now we're going to turn our attention to on the pitch matters with the season less than a day away for Burnley. So as I say, Burnley, of course, kicking off the season tomorrow night away at last season's Championship playoff finalist Huddersfield. After that, it's another team who finished in the top 6 in the Championship as Luton make the trip to Turf Moor. Then there's a away game against a fellow relegated side, Watford. Back-to-back home games against Hull, who, as you mentioned, have strengthened considerably this summer. And then 2 local derbies at home, although not the big one. They're at home to Blackpool and then away at Wigan. As starts go for Vincent Kompany at Burnley, what do you make of that one?
Perfect time to play them. Perfect time to play them where they don't know what we're going to be. They don't know what sort of animal we're going to be since coming down. Obviously, a lot of change at the club. They're not going to think, all right, okay, we're going to have time to go watch them play like you do during a season. Scouts get sent out to games, etc. Some of these first team players haven't played in some of these friendlies, and most of the friendlies have all been behind closed doors. So it's going to be an interesting concept. I just want us to sort of start off positive, and I sort of go back to what Kompany said when he came in, that there is going to be a massive change in terms of the philosophy and the way we play. So he wants fans to come to Turf Moor or go to the away games and just enjoy the football. He says eventually the results will come with it. But basically, to quote Arsenal Football Club, trust the process is basically what we've got to do. And if that pays off, brilliant. But at the moment, I just think we need to just be calm, be real, have a sense of realism, and just realise that it's not going to be all, plain sailing. We're going back up straight away. Because personally, I don't think we will.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because obviously clubs that come down from the Premier League now, with all the funds that they have available through parachute payments and TV money and everything, they do seem to be generally expected to come straight back up, something that many can probably thank Norwich for at the minute. But given what you just said there, do you think that should be the target for Kompany this season, or is it more just a case of finding his feet and laying the foundations for the seasons to come?
Yeah, 100% that. Lay the foundations, get used to a new way of playing, new players integrated, getting used to each other, getting used to obviously knowing where each other likes to play, each other's movement, etc. Know each other's game. There's a lot to take in. We all seem to think that we just turn up, pay the money, pie in a pint, etc., and watch 11 men run around the pitch. It's more to that when it comes to the inside of the inside knowledge of the game. So there's got to be a lot more reading of the opposition, your own teammates. So I'd happily consolidate this season and just, I'd be happy with anywhere from 8th to 10th. For me, I think that is somewhere I'd be very happy at looking, because I don't expect us to be pulling up stumps. I expect us to probably just be typical Burnley that scalps a team 1-0. Although if we are playing with a City sort of mentality, who knows? We could get the odd, Southampton scoreline of a 9-0 somewhere. Not saying that's going to happen. Do not quote me on it. Do not quote me on that.
Well, there you go. That is just about all we've got time for here this afternoon. Dan, my thanks to you for coming on here and giving us your thoughts. Really interesting to hear what you've had to say about Burnley ahead of the new season. Thank you as well to anyone who has been watching. If you have liked what you've seen today or from any of our other shows, please do give us a like and a subscribe on our YouTube channel, which really does help get the brand out there. We do have one more episode coming up on FLW TV this afternoon. That's at 2:30 when Ben Wignall will be joined by Sam Whedon to look ahead to Preston North End's 2022-23 Championship campaign. In the meantime, though, all that remains for me to say is thanks again for joining us, and we will see you again very soon.